All right, guys. So in this session, we will be discussing about the decline in FDI in India. So we'll get into the details of it. And you must have frequently heard about FDI, which means foreign direct investment, and why it is crucial for any developing economy, especially countries like India. See, it brings capital and it promote investment and it set up new factories and it is capital intensive and also boost production and services. So that's why we consider it as very important for any developing country. See here, I'm not talking about FII, foreign institutional investors. They typically invest in shares and withdraw the money any point of time. So here, FDI comes for a long-term basis and significantly benefit the country. So now if you look at the last financial year, what happened? There was a significant decline in the net FDI, which refers to, when we talk about the decline, the total incoming minus total outgoing, when you see there is a negative, right? There is a decline. That is what you can actually see. And compared to the previous financial year, FDI actually declined to 62%. And it's around $10.5 billion. That's huge. So, which is the lowest in the last 16 years. And what we are going to do in this session is we are going to analyze what actually happened and all those things. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So, see, guys, what happened? Let's try to understand what exactly happened. When we talk about FDI, you should also be aware of balance of payment account, which has two types, a current account and a capital account. So the current account involves trade in goods and services on a day-to-day basis. However, FDI falls under the capital account. Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to understand. Now, so I hope that difference is very clear. Now let's move on to the reasons behind the decline in FDI in India. So in 23-24 financial year, if you see, that's the last year, India saw a 60% decline in net FDI, and that's around $10.5 billion. That's the lowest since 2007. That's the last 16 years. Okay. So last year, net FDI, if you see, it's around 28 billion. And the primary reason behind this decline is higher repatriation, which means that the profits generated from the previous FDIs were taken out of India. It's not reinvested. Okay. So for example, if someone invested like 1 lakh crore in India and earned profit, they took their profit outside India as dividends or through other means. Okay, so another factor is that Indian companies have also started investing abroad. So just as foreign investors invest in India, Indian companies are investing in places like Africa, Europe. That leads to dollar outflows again. So this subtracts from the total and that also contribute to the net FDI calculation. So if you get a MCQ in prelims, they can bring in this dimension also, that India's companies investing abroad will also comes under this calculation. And last year, if you see, gross FDI stood at around 70.9 billion, but with repatriation and Indian investments abroad, net FDI, if you see, it stood at around $10.5 billion. Okay, so you can see that FDI was running at a very good level in the last 2 to 3 years with a net inflow of around 44 billion, but it has fallen sharply now. The last time we saw such low was in 2007-8 with a net FDI of around 7.6 billion. Now, let's try to understand why this is happening. And for that, let's consider the following factors. Okay, so the reasons. See, most of the FDIs in India goes into manufacturing, like electricity and then computer services. These are the areas in which most of the FDI is coming. Manufacturing, electricity, computer services, and then financial services, okay, and then retail and wholesale. Nearly 80% of India's FDI comes from a few countries like Singapore and then Mauritius and the USA and Netherlands, Japan and UAE. Okay, so when we talk about FDI as a percentage of GDP, it was at its highest in 2009, and it was around close to 3.5% of GDP. Over the years, what happened? India's GDP have grown significantly, and the FDI percentage not kept the pace of the growth of our GDP, indicating there is a concerning trend with respect to that. So the government recently told the parliament that the global slowdown is a major reason for this decline, because we are growing faster and the FDI is not catching up with that speed, and that's because of the global slowdown. But if FDI in China is also declining, then India's share in the global FDI should be increasing, which is not actually happening, right? So that's the question, and you can come to the next slide. Reasons we discussed. Okay, in reasons. Yeah, basically, a few economists and investment analysts basically pointed out the following reasons for this decline in FDI, and that you can actually see there in the slide, which is mentioned. Let me show you this. Yeah, this are the reasons which are actually given. See, firstly, ease of doing business. Okay, so despite improvements on paper, the real ground situation is still having significant red tapeism. The government basically need to address this issue if we need to have good business and inflow of FDI. Then comes bilateral investment treaties. If you see in 2015, the government announced plans to renegotiate 68 out of 74 bilateral investment treaties due to their unfavorable terms. However, only 4 new treaties were signed, and just 2 of them came into force, and that created uncertainty for foreign investors. And then coming to free trade agreement, India is pushing for more FTAs with various countries, including Australia, UAE, European Union, and UK and USA. So, but analysts believe that if FTAs are signed, then countries could gain access to Indian market without direct investment in India, and that potentially further reducing FDI. So when you have a free trade agreement, when you don't have taxes and other things, then why you are going and investing in India for that, right? You can directly get the benefit with the free trade agreement itself. So these are actually the primary reasons for the decline in FDI. I hope this explanation actually helped to clarify the situation. And in case if you like the video, consider subscribing the channel and give a thumbs up. And also in case if you want the mentorship program, you can get in touch with us. The courses and the links and everything is given in the description. You can check for that also. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.